Powered by the Montana Television Network. This is the 530 News on Q2, Montana's news leader.
Good evening and thanks for joining us. I'm Russ.
And I'm Jeanelle Slade. One day after the Environmental Protection Agency announced the Crow tribe's largest water system tested positive for fecal matter this spring, the Crow chairman responds, calling that claim false.
Crow Chairman A.J. Not Afraid says while testing was done, the most recent sampling of E. coli did not exceed the minimum threshold set up by the EPA. However, EPA officials say there are two other Crow water systems out of compliance with federal law. Not Afraid says Crow agency officials are required to monitor their source water for E. coli and can provide assurances that routine bacteria samples have come back negative.
However, he says the existing public water systems are decades old, dilapidated, and expose tribal residents to dangerous amounts of bacteria. Now, Crow administration plans to address the EPA findings and repay the federal government for costs that could be inconsistent with the Crow Water Rights Compact.
A man who federal agents say is responsible for bringing pounds of methamphetamine to the Billings area has pleaded guilty to the crime. 41-year-old Nathan Thomas Trujillo is facing 10 years to life in prison for drug trafficking and firearms charges. Agents began investigating Trujillo last August and made multiple undercover purchases of the drug from him. They then got a court order to put a tracking device on his vehicle and arrested him after returning to Montana from Denver. A search of his apartment turned up 13 ounces of meth, other illegal drugs, and a gun. Trujillo will be sentenced next April. Meanwhile, another Billings man will be heading to federal prison for 10 years after being convicted of possession with intent to distribute meth. Billings police arrested 50-year-old Gregory Adam Kilwine last March after they say he ran from them after they noticed him riding a bicycle on a downtown sidewalk in violation of a city ordinance. A search of Kilwine, a bag that he'd been carrying, and his residence turned up a little more than a pound of meth and over $12,000 in cash. And while Kilwine was being booked, detention staff also found another 4 ounces of the drug in his underwear. Both of these cases are part of Project Safe Neighborhoods, an effort by the Department of Justice to reduce violent crime.
For the first time in 81 years, Yellowstone Valley Electric Cooperative is giving customers an end-of-the-year rebate to the tune of $1.6 million. Now, the company covers a sizable territory from areas of Park City to Custer and from halfway to Roundup south to Pryor, serving more than 19,000 customers. Yellowstone Electric has not raised its rates since 2011. CEO Brendan Whitman says through a lot of work and financial decisions, the company operates at a very high level of efficiency.
Taking advantage of things like low interest rates, consolidated some loans, that sort of thing, but we've also discovered tremendous efficiencies through attrition and invested heavily in technology, and all of those things are really starting to pay dividends for us. I mean, to be able to rebate money back to them on their December power bill, especially this time of year, holiday season, to help take some of the stress off is fantastic.
Now, Whitman tells Q2, depending on usage, customers will receive up to 50% of their power bill through December.
Last month, 3 downtown businesses were devastated by an early morning fire, and now all are working toward the future, rebuilding what was lost.
One of those businesses, a mixed martial arts gym, has been helping those who come through the doors rebuild their lives. Q2's Brendan Sullivan shows us how.
We begin in Billings this morning, where fire crews battled a blaze at a downtown auto shop early this morning. The Billings Fire Department was called to the 1600 block of 2nd Avenue North around 1:30 for a report of a structure fire. Fire crews were still putting out hot spots as of 3 a.m. We'll be sure to update you on air and online as soon as more details are released.
You know, just right away in that snapshot of the entryway, you could just see it was kind of like all of our hard work was tarnished for the moment.
For 8 years, Will Grundhauser built what he calls his temple, his church, in the heart of downtown Billings. Less than a month ago, in the late hours of a cold November night, it was devastated.
Not gonna lie, I built that place with my own 2 hands, so to speak. I filled it with all kinds of great equipment and memories, and all my pride and joy, the things I scrub and clean every day, were devastated. really surreal.
Despite the devastation and heartache, Will pressed forward, wasting no time at all securing a temporary location for his fighters.
You know, I'm not a what if kind of guy. I'm a what are we gonna do now? So I believe it happened for a reason.
An accomplished fighter himself, Will specializes in the art of jiu-jitsu, and for the better part of 15 years has imparted his knowledge, skills, and experience to everyone who walks into his life, many of whom struggle to find peace, balance, and meaning in their own lives.
You know, most people that come to us, like I said, they are damaged goods or whatever, but we give them a confidence, we give them a community that's not judgmental, you know, and we've got everyone from pre-release to doctors and lawyers and everybody in between that train with us.
One of those who was considered damaged goods was Shane Fichter.
I was born in Red Bluff, California, and I was raised in Redding, California. We were pretty poor. I started partying and drinking and stuff probably around 14 or 15 years old. I started picking up pills and opiates when I was about 16, 17. I experimented with all kinds of other drugs. Fast money and drugs was pretty much my life for a long time, and it's all I cared about. I was incarcerated when I was 25 years old for the third time, but that pretty much started my stint of being in and out of jail constantly.
Shane and I have been married since February of last year, but we've been together off and on since the beginning of 2012. We used to sleep in the back of a car when we first started out. He was the type of person that would take anything. Like, it didn't matter to him. He would take it. He would drink it, you know, as long as it got him high, he would do it. He was always this good person. He was just doing really bad things.
She's my biggest supporter, which is crazy too, because me and my wife have been through so much together when it comes to addiction. You know, I drug her through the mud for a good 7 years while she also had an alcohol problem. And we kind of just like beat each other's dreams and things down because we were selfish.
And then one day, as he stood before a judge about to tell him why he should be released into treatment, something in Shane clicked. He told the judge he needed more time in jail, needed to get his head right. And so he did.
Like, his ambition changed from chasing drugs to like chasing life. You know, he wanted to be better at everything.
He sobered up, settled down, and gave he and his wife a life worth living. He turned to the Grindhouse, where Will and countless others have given Shane the community, family, and love he so desperately needed.
I think that's what makes me so excited for the future, is that now me and my wife are dwelling and climbing up together. So instead of being compulsive about, you know, drugs and a habit-forming chemical, I'm now compulsive about MMA and fighting and training and getting better.
He wants to be a mixed martial arts champion. He turned pro earlier this year and will look to pick up his second professional win tomorrow night. But in life's bigger picture, Shane Fichter is already a champion. He's been sober for 4 years, his wife for almost 2. And together they're building a legacy for their 2 beautiful children. A legacy free from drugs and alcohol. A legacy that gives back to the community that he now calls home.
Why didn't I start doing this when I was 20? You know, why didn't I start working towards dreams and long-term goals when I was younger? But everybody has to learn their own way, and I wouldn't change anything for the world, because that's what made me who I am today.
Brandon Sullivan, MTN News.
What a great turnaround.
Now the fights start at 7 p.m. tomorrow night at the Rimrock Auto Arena.
And a percentage of the proceeds from each ticket sold will go to the Grindhouse.
Coming up on tonight's 5:30 News, Santa paid a visit to St. Vincent Healthcare today, possibly to meet some new elves.
We're going to check out his adorable trip from the North Pole right after the break.
Hi everybody, Scott Breen at the National Finals Rodeo here in Las Vegas. Coming up in sports, we chat with two of Montana's top cowboys here, Court Shear and Bridger Chambers.
And coming up in weather, the calendar may say December, but is feeling more like October. And here's the reason why. We're going to be talking about 50s coming your way all next week. We'll tell you all about it in a few more minutes.
You're watching MTN News with Jay Cohn and Jeanelle Slade. Storm Tracker weather with Bob McGuire. And sports with Scott Breen. This is the 5:30 News on Q2, Montana's news leader.